Jesus Christ.
Wow, D, that was dark.
That's like the darkest thing you've ever done. You know what that was? That was your rock bottom.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 worst things the It's Always Sunny gang has ever done.
It's a misunderstanding. The storm made it seem way worse than it is. She was never in any danger.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most despicable, heinous, and hysterically awful deeds the patrons of Paddy's pub have ever committed. What do you think is the worst thing the gang has done? Let us know in the comments.
Hey Mojoholics! For a chance to win cash prizes, play our live daily trivia challenges every day at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern only at WatchMojo.com/play.
Number 20. Setting Dee on fire. In an effort to create real news, Mac, Charlie, and Frank get a camera and take to the streets to break an interesting news story. Frank suggests they create heroic situations to get on tape, and this leads to some pretty reckless behavior. They concoct a scenario where kittens are trapped in a burning building, and Dee is sent in to rescue them.
Sounds easy enough.
Get to it.
Smells overwhelmingly like kerosene in here.
The result is Dee slightly charred from the resultant fire. They next have Dee rescue kittens from the bottom of a well, which they also proceed to set on fire. The gang is more disappointed that Dee ruined their shots by throwing the box of kittens than the fact that they created such dangerous situations.
It's all good through here.
Hey! She throws the kittens in every take.
She loves to ruin.
Number 19. Exploiting abortion to meet women. Abortion is a contentious issue in political discourse, so of course Mac and Dennis are not concerned about it in any meaningful way, but will use it to try to pick up women. Due to his strong religious convictions, Mac is pro-life, but still only joins an anti-abortion rally to hook up with Megan.
Oh, are you here to sign up for the rally?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Yeah, real excited about the rally.
We're gonna kick ass this time.
Well, I'm ready to kick somebody's ass.
Similarly, Dennis attends a pro-choice rally to hit on the women there. Of course, he's rejected by everyone he talks to for his scuzzy behavior.
Hi.
Hi.
I like your look.
Excuse me?
I like the whole hippie thing. It really works for you.
Get lost, breeder.
Oh, okay.
He was even going to go to the pro-life side for the same reason, but ended up getting pelted by eggs. It's definitely not a good look for either of them. Number 18. Pulling a $1 million baby. Things aren't off to a great start when Mac, Charlie, and Dennis ditch Dee when a mugger threatens them. She decides to take self-defense classes, but when Frank learns this, he offers to train her as he was a former boxer. Unfortunately for Dee, Frank's training is horrible, and she's convinced to take performance-enhancing supplements, resulting in her becoming extremely aggressive.
Oh, good! Are you happy now? I just punched a hole in my wall!
She gets into a sparring match against Brianna, the daughter of Frank's rival Bobby, but is arrested before they can face off. Frank and Bobby decide to face off, but Frank sucker punches Bobby, who falls into Brianna, who in turn smashes her neck on a stool. Frank does the cowardly thing and runs. We hope she's okay. Number 17. The Dennis system. Dennis likes to think of himself as the ultimate ladies' man.
So this chick is so in love with me, it's crazy.
Hi, Dennis. It's Kaylee. I was just calling to let you know that I hope you die. You are obviously a terrible person with no regard for anyone but yourself. I never, ever want to see you again, you steaming pile of horse shit. Go to hell!
While there's nothing wrong with being a generous or considerate lover, Dennis's approach to relationships with women is far from considerate or even healthy for that matter. This is best demonstrated by his Dennis system, a method by which he manipulates women into sleeping with him.
D.E.N.N.I.S. The Dennis system. That, my friends, is the key to winning any girl's heart.
When he unveils his system, the rest of the gang, minus Dee, fail to see anything wrong with this kind of thinking. In fact, everyone adopts the system for themselves, much to Dennis's chagrin, as they fail to implement it properly.
You see, this is why nobody should be going off my system.
What do you mean off your system?
My system of seduction that I use to win your heart, that these idiots are ruining right now.
Number 16, Mistreating the Waitress and Ruby Taft. Charlie's interest in the waitress borders on obsessive, to say the least. She makes it quite clear that she wants him out of her life completely.
You have to leave me alone.
You want me to be, like, gone forever?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. It's... Okay.
He agrees and then meets Ruby. She's completely enamored by Charlie, which Dennis believes is a ploy. So, along with Frank, he plans to get the waitress to want Charlie back in her life. This results in her being poisoned, having her apartment broken into, and Frank accidentally hitting her with his car. When she tells Charlie she wants him back in her life, he publicly humiliates Ruby by revealing he was only using her to make the waitress jealous, and berates her for sleeping with him.
I really, really, really like you.
Oh. Yeah, I know. Okay, I was using you. That's why I kissed you in front of the waitress. That's why I banged you a bunch of times, just to make the waitress jealous. Amazing, you slept with me almost instantly.
It's unnecessarily cold and cruel. Number 15, Dee's Diabolical Plan. Dee is usually portrayed as the more sympathetic of the gang, even though she's just as bad, and in this case, possibly worse than the others. She meets an exotic dancer, Mike, and they hook up, which to Dee felt like a profound emotional connection between the two.
We had this really amazing connection, and the sex was so meaningful, both of us wept tears of joy.
He reveals the experience made him realize that he's hit rock bottom and wants to turn his life around. Understandably, she's upset by this and sets out to show that being with her isn't rock bottom. She orchestrates a plan to have Mike unknowingly grind in his daughter's face. So yeah, that's rock bottom, but being twisted and deplorable just to prove a point isn't much better.
I got you!
Number 14, watching Frank choke. Not everything bad the gang does is the result of petty revenge and intricate planning. Sometimes it's a lot more simple. When they're out at a restaurant, Frank begins choking.
What's this?
I think he's choking.
While there's no need to immediately start panicking, there should be a sense of urgency to help him out and dislodge the obstruction. As Frank desperately motions for help, the gang just sit there staring blankly at him while commenting on the fact that he's choking. It's not until a waiter comes and does the Heimlich maneuver that Frank is saved. It's pretty low to be able to just calmly watch people possibly die in front of you and do absolutely nothing.
Oh my God!
Number 13, holding a fake baby funeral. Losing a child is a horrible tragedy, so faking a funeral to cover up a tax scam is a whole other level of shameful behavior. Dee was a surrogate mother and now becomes flush with cash from the arrangement. She plans to claim the baby as a dependent to qualify for tax breaks over the next 18 years.
And now, I'm going to be claiming him as a dependent and getting tax breaks for the next 18 years. So you talk about a scheme? How's that for a long-term scheme, bitches?
Defrauding the government also isn't great, but it's far from the worst thing ever. She's audited by the IRS, as she has no documentation for her child. Dennis proposes the way to solve this problem is to show the child has passed.
I'm gonna tell you guys what we need to do. So you've all been trying to convince the IRS that Dee's baby is alive. What you really need to be doing is convincing the IRS that Dee's baby is dead.
They hold a mock funeral to convince the auditor of the situation. The gang admits that this is the darkest thing they've done. Number 12, Dennis puts the implication into action. Back when the gang was looking to buy a boat, Dennis wanted to make such a purchase so that he'd be able to bring women to it and coerce them into being intimate with him, or as he described, the implication.
That seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro.
I think I am.
Yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No,
But the thing
right.
is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Already this is terrible behavior, and when he received pushback by Mac, he insisted there was no malicious intent on his part. Later, on a cruise, Dennis comes across an attractive woman and tries to use the implication.
I would like to go in your room. And I suspect that maybe you might say no, and yet I also feel like maybe you wouldn't dare.
The fact that he would even attempt to intimidate someone unwilling is beyond disgusting. Luckily, she's able to get away, and Dennis is put in the brig with the rest of the gang. Number 11. Trying to manipulate Ben the soldier. Charlie and Dee become involved in a pyramid scheme and think Ben would make an easy mark. Ben politely declines their pitch.
I'm sorry. I don't think this is for me.
Oh, God damn it!
Similarly, stuck with a timeshare, Mac and Dennis also target Ben, thinking they can easily dupe him by triggering his PTSD, but he also politely declines them.
I mean, it sounds really nice, but I'm not trying to make any business decisions. I have a 107 stress level. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be here. I have to go.
Even worse, Mac and Dennis and Charlie and Dee both break into Ben's apartment at the same time to try and frighten Ben into buying their products. They obviously see nothing wrong with their devious manipulation, but wholesome Ben cheerfully reveals that he doesn't even have PTSD and enjoyed his time in the army as a programmer.
I didn't see any carnage. I actually had a good time during the war. I got to travel the world, try new exotic cuisines. Well, I'm a computer programmer.
Number 10. Kidnapping a critic.
Critics can be cruel, but calling Paddy's Pub the worst bar in Philadelphia is a pretty spot-on statement. Nevertheless, the gang doesn't take kindly to these harsh words and smash up the critic's office when he refuses to reconsider his review.
You're all out of time, bitch!
Boom!
You just got phased.
This just in, poo-poo pants. People don't read newspapers anymore.
Oh, how's that for class?
It only gets worse from there, as a drunken Charlie kidnaps the critic with his neighbor and cat, also getting roped into the mix. After an uncomfortable trip to the bathroom and a bottle to the head, the critic writes another piece that epitomizes why the gang are such miserable human beings.
The owners all deserve to rot in jail, though having to spend every day with each other in that vile establishment is a decidedly greater punishment.
And since they're indeed horrible people, the gang further harasses the long-suffering critic, demanding he use their names in the article.
I am incredibly annoyed that he didn't mention my
I wish
name.
I could live with this, but I can't.
I know.
It's a story about us.
I feel like we gotta go talk to him again.
We should talk to him.
Number 9. Breaking Dee.
While every main character on this show is terrible, Dee is perhaps the most sympathetic since her friends and family constantly gang up on her for no reason. After 8 seasons of being the butt of the joke, Dee is finally sent into a downhill spiral of self-loathing.
Fight back at us.
What's the point? The joke's always on me, all right? I get it.
Yeah, but it's no fun unless you fight back.
I'm just gonna go home.
Seeming empathetic, the gang encourages Dee to give her stand-up career another shot. Gray skies finally start to clear up for Dee, but it turns out to be an elaborate prank, and the gang pulls the rug out from under her in the most hilariously mean-spirited way possible.
Oh, God, you sons of bitches!
While this reignites the spark in Dee, she still hits a new low and drags Dennis down with her.
All right, so we got Dee back, and I think we may have broke Dennis. Broke me? Nah, come on, I'm good. I love all this. This is great. I'm gonna pop out for a little while.
Number 8. Pretending to be terrorists.
Cut. What the hell are you doing, dude?
That's what those tapes sound like.
In an episode that's offensive to virtually anyone living in a post-9/11 world, the gang learns they need to vacate the bar when an Israeli businessman purchases the land it's on. In a scheme to get the bar back, the guys decide to disguise themselves as terrorists and send the new owner a threatening video.
I'm gonna get a weapon. I'm gonna get a weapon. I was gonna go get a weapon, everybody. Everybody get a weapon!
Between their stereotypical outfits and Dennis's unbelievably vulgar impression, the gang realizes that the video is too dark even for them. Dialing it back a notch, they figure that a flaming bag of poop will get the job done instead. This literally backfires, however, as the bag causes an explosion due to a gas leak.
This is gonna be great. It's gonna smell so bad in there.
Just hope he gets the
Number 7. Attempted cannibalism.
Dee, we're cannibals now. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me.
It's starting to look that way,
That's
isn't
a
it?
fact, Dee. That's what it is. Look, if we don't feed the hunger, we could die from
It's
it.
not our fault, it's nature.
To get back at Charlie and Dee for eating his steak, Frank tricks them into thinking they ate human meat. Eventually falling for Frank's prank, Charlie and Dee decide they need to eat human flesh to see if they've become cannibals.
I think we need to try a piece of human flesh,
Oh, God.
just to make sure.
That's the only way.
Make sense? When eating a dead guy at the morgue doesn't pan out, they set their eyes on a homeless kid who they lure back to Charlie's apartment. After the kid wisely flees, Charlie and Dee learn they merely ate raccoon meat, which prevents them from attempting cannibalism once again.
No,
No,
then why am I always hungry? I have stomach pains and nothing satisfies my hunger?
You probably got a tapeworm. That cool meat is lousy with parasites.
Tying into the episode's unusual theme of eating the homeless, Dennis and Mac also set out to hunt Cricket, but more on him later. Number 6, doing blackface. As merchants of bad taste, it was only a matter of time until somebody on this show did blackface.
I'm referring more to the blackface of it all.
Although it's acknowledged that blackface is incredibly racist, that doesn't stop the gang from making Lethal Weapon 5 with Dennis as a whitewashed version of Danny Glover's Roger Murtaugh. As if that's not bad enough, Dennis eventually switches roles with Mac, who dons blackface to portray the African-American character.
What's wrong with the blackface?
Well, I seriously regret switching parts with you halfway through and letting you play Murtaugh in blackface. I feel like it was in very poor taste in retrospect.
On top of all that, the gang shows their fan film to a classroom, and Charlie convinces one student to do blackface in order to fit in. Never learning their lesson, Dee later does blackface for Lethal Weapon 6.
I don't get why you're making this.
Way to make Mel Gibson look PC. Number 5, digging up a dead body. It came as a surprise to everyone when Dennis and Dee's mom suddenly died in season 3 due to a botched neck lift.
She's as dead as disco. Who wants champagne?
5 seasons later, however, Frank leads everyone else to believe that his dead whore wife might be alive. As the evidence begins to pile up, it appears Barbara Reynolds is still kicking, with money hidden all over Philly. It isn't long until the gang digs up Barbara's grave, expecting to find a coffin of cash, but instead stumble upon a decomposed corpse.
Steal Frank's money and we think it's buried in her grave.
That dirty whore.
As Dee and Dennis gaze upon their mother's dead body in horror, Frank reveals that this was all a hoax he orchestrated just because they said he was losing it.
Into a windfall of cash and it's all in here.
Yeah, and then we can use some of that cash to pay for the statue that our moms broke, Charlie. All right!
Number 4, Extreme Makeover Hell Edition.
Sea fácil. Su casa es no más. Su vida es no más. Somos extremos. Como la televisión.
Even when the gang is trying to do a good deed, they somehow manage to make things infinitely worse. Wanting to give the Juarez family the Extreme Makeover Home Edition treatment, the gang dresses in all black and kidnaps the family.
Wake up, my brown friend! It's time to change your life!
While holding them hostage, they aim to remodel their home, but instead turn it into a demolition zone.
We gotta gut this entire place. Here's what I'm thinking now. After we get done smashing all their old shit, I'm thinking we take out this wall. You know what I mean? Just let the room breathe a little bit.
Okay.
The family not only ends up losing their house, but all of their furniture as well. With nothing but a pile of rubble left, a judge gives the family Mrs. Reynolds' old house. It may seem like a happy ending for the Juarezes, but they're ultimately forced to sell the mansion due to the property tax. Number 3, making money off a dumpster baby.
Do the jumping thing. Do the jump. He does a Mexican jumping bean.
Holding a funeral for a baby who never existed is one thing, but finding a dumpster baby and using him to make a profit is another. Rather than calling the authorities, the gang debates whether to keep little DB or put him back where they found him. Realizing that he's cute enough to be a Gerber baby, they try to book him some commercials.
We have an opportunity to give it a real future here.
Yes, by making it a star.
And who have better lives than child stars?
Nobody.
Nobody. Rich, famous, they have it all.
Oh my God, they're the happiest people on earth.
While there isn't a high demand for white babies, casting agencies are on the lookout for Hispanic babies. Further endangering the child, Mac and Dee try taking DB to a tanning salon.
We just want to put him in there for a couple of minutes.
Just to get a base.
Just to get a base.
We'll sign whatever waivers or whatever you need us to do.
So let us cook him for a couple of minutes and we'll be out of your hair.
Fortunately, Child Services comes to the rescue before they can completely paint him with shoe polish. Blackface strikes again. Number 2, trapping their enemies to burn alive.
I've got an idea.
So we're just gonna lock them in there?
They're definitely gonna burn to death.
Having committed so many unforgivable deeds, the gang has naturally made their fair share of enemies over the years. Wanting to squash their beefs, the gang invites the McPoyles, Cricket, Gail the Snail, and others they've wronged to Thanksgiving dinner. The signing of a peace treaty soon evolves into a food and hatchet fight, however, as Mac's bedroom breaks out in flames.
My room's on fire. Why is my room on fire?
I may have started a money fire.
Although they could easily alert the others of this fire, the gang unremorsefully decides to seal everyone else in the apartment, so they don't have to ever face their problems.
We don't need to get along with anybody else. We got each other.
Screw everybody else. I hate people who are different than me. You know? Why pretend?
It's a good thing there's a fire escape, or else the gang likely would have been wanted for murder.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Ruining Cricket's life.
So you're living on the streets now, Cricket.
Yes, I'm
That's
living-
great. That's really great.
Actually, it's the opposite of great, Charlie. It's one of the darkest times of my life.
Is it?
That makes
Is
sense.
it?
Yes.
Before he was hunted for game or left to burn alive, Rickety Cricket had already been sent down a dark path thanks to the Paddy's pub gang. Exploiting Cricket's affection for Dee, the gang motivates him to leave the Catholic Church. Of course, Dee immediately rejects Cricket, who's unable to return to priesthood.
Oh, Maddie, I think you are a great guy.
My life is ruined.
No.
Turning to a life of sin, Cricket appears more sickly, desperate, and homeless every time he encounters the gang over the next 10 seasons.
Holy shit!
Oh, shit,
Holy
dude.
shit! Put it back on!
Put it on!
Put it back on!
Put it on! What the hell happened to your face?
While you could argue that Cricket is technically responsible for his own poor choices, it's safe to say that his life would have turned out much better if the gang wasn't constantly acting as the devils on his shoulder.
Because he's got like the worst life imaginable, and that's clearly what those people want.
That's true, I do have the worst life.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.